Rest in power to Assata Shakur. She passed away on September 25th of this year. She died at 78 in Cuba, and I would love to believe that the life that she got to live in Cuba was a lot more free and different than the life that she got to live in America, because Lord knows that she deserved to live that with peace and to live that without having to constantly look over her shoulder and be on the run. And just like the other Shakurs, Tupac, Afeni, and the many other Shakurs that were recognized during this rise of collective consciousness, collective black consciousness, really, she left behind an incredible legacy. And one of the things that I really wanted to know was, what did Assata Shakur think of Tupac Shakur? And I think that's an important question, because when you hear people talk about Tupac, there's a whole bunch of different perspectives, from political activists to entertainers. They all got these interesting perspectives on him. And I think that Assata Shakur, with all the stripes and all the rep that she got on her jacket, her opinion should be valued on what Tupac brought to the table and her opinion on his life and what he brought to the world, right? So that's what this video is going to be about. And I think before we even get into breaking all that down, we need to get into a well-deserved breakdown of who Assata Shakur was, what she represented, and what she's been through. So I typed up a summary here for anybody who doesn't know who Assata Shakur is, okay? So Assata Shakur was born July 16th, 1947. This is at the height of the American apartheid. She was radicalized during this time, once the 50s and the 60s start coming around. And many other black people were radicalized during this time as well, because with everything that was going on, political activists being assassinated, just attacks on the black community, adult and children alike, you see what I'm saying? They recognized that it wasn't about who was right or wrong. It was about maintaining power by any means. And that means meant murder, it meant infiltration, it meant disruption of organizations, and imprisonment for anybody that stood against what they believed or what they deemed would be a threat to the American government. This gave birth to the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army, organizations that fought back by producing their own communities, or producing for their own communities, and protecting their own neighborhoods through unity and self-defense. We're talking about feeding the communities, like creating their own programs to make sure that everybody was fed, that everybody ate. Things that we should see a lot more often. And I know they're out there, but that we should see more often in our communities in general. Assata Shakur played a pivotal role in both of these, by the way, the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army. In 1973, though, she became targeted specifically. Her and Zayd Shakur were traveling when they were pulled over and harassed by state troopers for obvious reasons. In self-defense, a shootout broke out between Zayd and the state troopers, leaving Zayd and one of the troopers dead. Assata ended up being injured, and her arm, right, the arm that they claimed, that we'll get to that. The government, looking to set an example, had to make sure that Assata was convicted in hopes of not inspiring others to defend themselves and get away with it. They had to set the standard of why fighting back wouldn't be tolerated. They gave her an all-white jury. We talking about the 70s here. You see what I'm saying? They gave her an all-white jury after destroying her image and labeling her as an extremely dangerous terrorist who was an enemy of the United States. So we talking about news outlets, newspapers, all this different stuff were painting her as this just terrorist, really. They were labeling her as a terrorist who, making her the boogeyman. This is called flack in the 5 filters of media, right? And their goal was to make her the boogeyman of white America. You see what I'm saying? Making white America afraid of her and anybody that was like her. And this is before she ended up getting her trial, right? And Assata ended up being convicted and sentenced to life for first-degree murder. life plus 16 to 33 years in prison. And that shit has always drove me crazy, how you can get life plus more years. There's got to be something deeper to that. But anyway, without providing evidence that she was even the one that shot the weapon. The argument was that they had already provided the fact that it was impossible for Assata to have been able to shoot the weapon that they claimed she shot when her arm was injured in such a way that it wouldn't have allowed this. But that didn't matter at this time. You see what I'm saying? And because of this, she was still convicted. So she went to prison. However, on November 2nd, 1979, the Black Liberation Army, or some Black Liberation Army members, snuck into the facility that Assata was being held at by posing as visitors and broke her out of the prison. They took 2 guards hostage in order to make this happen. Think about that for a second. Before we even continue, think about that for a second. That is a group of people who are in alignment and understanding that they are at war. That this isn't something where, oh, we in the, you know what I'm saying, we living in America and kumbaya. No. They understood that they were at war. And breaking Assata out of prison was freeing a political prisoner. That's the reality of what it was. Now, this is how you move when you understand that you are at war. Assata was then a fugitive after this, and the FBI did everything they could to find her, including harming and harassing her family members. In 1984, Assata was granted political asylum in Cuba thanks to Fidel Castro. For 40 years, she lived in Cuba and was revered as a representation of rebellion and perseverance. The American government, however, dropped a bounty of $2 million on her head and made her the first ever woman on the FBI most wanted list, including the president that a lot of people love to revere, Barack Obama, who raised the bounty on Assata Shakur's head when he got in office. Just to give y'all understanding of the fact that these political parties or whatever might have interest in the people they want to control, but at the end of the day, it's all about maintaining that power structure under any circumstances, right? So now that we understand that, and now that we know that, right, we got an idea of the legacy of Assata Shakur. We talking about the woman who was one of the most wanted people in the country, was given political asylum by Fidel Castro, knowing this. And Cuba, this isn't the first time that Cuba has done this, right? So knowing all of that and understanding her rep, understanding what she experienced and what she been through, what did she think about Tupac Shakur, right? And luckily, I got her thoughts right here, and I think they're so interesting. And not only are they interesting, they're extremely honest, and that's why I love them, okay? So one of the questions that was asked was, what are your thoughts on Tupac's contradictory role as child of the movement, Black Panther Party, and on the other hand, a gangster rapper? So this is what she says, and it's incredible. It's a lot to read, so y'all stay with me. That contradictory consciousness you're talking about is all over the place. Unfortunately, it's nothing new. In the 1960s and the 70s, people like Huey Newton and Eldridge Cleaver clearly exhibited aspects of that confusion, mixing up revolutionary politics with gangsterism. The mind-destroying machine works overtime, getting us to crave power and money instead of justice. Oh my goodness. This is what I'm talking about, like understanding that it starts here. It all starts here. She says, we've all been a bit brainwashed and confused. I don't care who you are, Hollywood has crept into your head. The act of being free has a lot to do with becoming unbrainwashed. I hear all these rappers talking about keeping it real, and at the same time, they're selling big time fantasies. These rap videos made in fancy clubs, casinos, rented mansions around rented swimming pools, rented yachts, rented private planes, and rented helicopters. Most of the people in the rap business are barely making it, and we know this. We know this. She says, Tupac was an exception. He was only 25 when he died. And one of the things that makes me sad is that there was no strong community of African revolutionaries to protect him and help educate him. Those who loved him did all they could, but they were competing with some very forceful, seductive, negative influences. I want y'all to take a second and just think about that. Okay? Because one of the things, if you're seeing one of Tupac's most famous, they low-key in the cut type of interviews, he's up there and he's talking about how he can't believe that at 22, he has to be the person that leads this. He has to be the person that sets this standard. He has the person to be the influence and make this possible, because the elders are no longer doing it, or the elders aren't doing it. The elders aren't sitting down Tupac as a community and building a project around him.
It bothers me that I have to sidestep my youth to stand up and do some shit that somebody else supposed to be doing. Right. You understand what I'm saying? There's too many men out here for me to be doing this, because it ain't my turn yet. I'm supposed to be following behind him, getting the knowledge. I don't even got a chance to get the fucking knowledge. I can't go to college. There's too much problems out here. I don't got the money. Nobody do. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is it's not as easy as we mapping it out to be, and we gotta stay real.
And he was supposed to represent what was supposed to be the new Black Panther Party. I still don't know what happened with that. I'll do some more research on that. But the reality is, while he was going through all this, there wasn't enough African revolutionaries that were willing to protect and really educate him. And especially with somebody who was such a incredible mind, like Tupac Shakur. Him growing up and seeing, we're going to get into all that, okay? When she says that they were competing with some very forceful and seductive negative influence, we talking about the industry. It's like, yeah, like that's the reality. And Tupac rapped about this all the time. She then says, as a movement, I think we have to become much more involved in educating and supporting our young people. Black people, African people are just as discriminated against and brutalized as we were in the 1960s. And racism is very much on the agenda of both the Republican and Democratic parties. Stop fucking playing with me, man. I be getting on here saying this stuff and people be in my comments trying to go crazy on me. But I see so many of y'all showing love to Assata Shakur. Like, y'all wouldn't be treating Assata Shakur the same way for understanding that the Republican and the Democratic parties are anti-black. They're anti-black. Even when they're putting things out to help you. Even when the Democrat Party is putting these systems together to help you, they are simultaneously disrupting the family structure in order to do it. My mom couldn't get food stamps unless there was no man in the house. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of different stuff that goes, especially enough to feed us. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. You see what I'm saying? She then says, we need to rebuild a movement capable of liberating our people. There's nothing we can do to bring Tupac back, but we can learn from his death. You can hear a lot of love in Tupac's work. We need to work to create a world where the Tupacs of the world can grow and love and not be afraid that some fool with a Glock is going to blow their brains out.
And I began to see that the same foot that was on the necks of the Vietnamese people, that was on the necks of all oppressed people on the planet, was the same foot that was on my neck. And so I began to understand that imperialism has to go. It is a poison that is killing people all over this world.
Wow. This is my type of shit. This is why I love the Shakurs, because there's so much more to revolution than just, oh, let's go outside. Let's say this phrase, or let's say, like, there's so much more to it. It's unwrapping the mind, getting back into love, the loving of self, the pride of self, looking at your skin and being proud, and then that transmuting into others that look like you, then that transmuting into others that don't look like you. It's so much more than just what people think it is. We have to unbrainwash ourselves. When I say unbrainwash ourselves, the concepts of what we believe is strength, what we believe is power, what we believe is important. And these are the things that I learned from not only my mother, which I believe she learned from the Shakurs, but I also got to learn to understand from the Shakurs on my own time. You feel me? And the Tupacs of the world, the ones who are brilliant, they're writers, they're movie directors, they're filmmakers, they're poets, they're actors, like these beautifully talented people. And even the people who aren't quote unquote beautifully talented, I think everybody's talented at something, but there should be space for these people to live in a world free of not worrying about that being hawked down and taken advantage of, or jealousy and somebody wanting to take your life because of it or destroy your because of it. Like, that's what we should get to. But anyway, she then goes on to say, as far as I'm concerned, rappers need to be spending a lot more time studying and struggling. As for the myth of Tupac being alive, the last thing we need is more nonsense. I don't care who you are or what you do. When they put that microphone in front of you, try to make sure you have something worthwhile to say. And that's the realest. It's one of the reasons that even with the new music that I got coming out, right, I make sure that these things are at the forefront, that I listen to Assata Shakur, Afeni Shakur, and their perspectives on what hip-hop rap should be, and making sure that that type of shit is at the forefront of my music as well. You feel what I'm saying? I think that's why I love the artists that I love, Kendrick Lamar, all these different guys, because they are also putting that at the forefront of their music, right? And now that we know what Assata Shakur thinks about Tupac, I want to give y'all a new perspective, a new breakdown of some of the things involved in Tupac's life, specifically the Tupac shooting the 2 police officers. Let's reframe everything, right? Now that we know that Zayd Shakur and Assata Shakur, and the very thing that led to Assata Shakur being broken out of prison and sent to Cuba and leaving to Cuba, is the fact that they or Zayd fought back against the police that were harassing them. And they were a part of an organization that stood to defend themselves, defend their communities, and defend the people that they love, and the people that look like them, and the people that didn't look like them. You see what I'm saying? So Tupac shooting those police officers when they know he's a Shakur, and they know that he has ties to the Black Panther Party, and he's a descendant of the Black Panther Party. We're talking about a dude who was in the belly of his mother in prison. You see what I'm saying? Him shooting those 2 police officers and then getting off was his death sentence. I mean, he was probably targeted from the beginning, but that was his death sentence. That was when they realized, no, we have to destroy not only his image, but we have to get him out of here. And that immediately followed with the rape case, which Assata Shakur also believes was a COINTELPRO looking to cause dysfunction and get rid of somebody who was a great community builder. We talk about thug life. The hate you gave little infants fucks everybody, right? And what he was attempting to do, bridging the gap between this side of hip hop and that side of hip hop, East Coast rappers, West Coast rappers, representing this idea of this is what you created. This is thug life, but this is what you created, right? Him shooting those police officers and getting off, they had to prove a point, so they put the rape case on him. And after they destroyed his image, which is the blueprint, you destroy the image and then you will assassinate them so they don't become martyrs. So, right? So they ruined his image and then attempted to assassinate him. Not murder, assassinate him. It was a planned hit. And I don't think it was just by some random people who wanted, no. Right? He survives. And then he's sent to Rikers Island and is forced in a situation where now let's talk about the crossroads of Tupac's life, where there's interviews where Tupac's in prison and he's talking about how he wants to move on, he wants to get in film, he wants to get more into writing books and all this different stuff, get into more community building, all this different stuff. But at the same time as he's ready to move on in his life, the rap world and the entertainment world is trying to destroy his image even more. They're saying stuff is happening to him in prison. They're making fun of him for being in jail. They're making fun of him for dropping songs like "Who Shot Ya" and all this different stuff. And which is, some people say, but the timing is very interesting. And all these things are happening to Tupac, and of anybody will be built with rage at that point. And Tupac decided, right, with all that rage, being isolated, being left alone, right, that he was going to go out, and especially knowing that they were still looking to assassinate him, he was going to go out in a way that could leave something behind, right? And I know this because I can't remember what the guy's name was, but I'm sure some of y'all seen the interview with the guy where he's talking about how Tupac talked to him before he got out and said, since he knows he's going to be assassinated because it's Shakur, he has to decide if he wants to go out like Scarface or if he want to go out like Malcolm X, right? And when you think about everything he left behind when he got out of prison and the way he was moving and how he was talking, it was the perspective of somebody who knew that he was gonna pass away. And also being trapped in Rikers Island, if somebody come to you and say, listen, I will get you out of here, right? I will get you out of here. The only thing is you got to sign this contract to death row. And I'm pretty sure they said you do gotta, you know what I'm saying? You got issues with that coach. You got issues with these people, right? And we can amplify that. We can make that into a way where you can make money. We can make that into a way where you can get your get back, where you can stop them from making money. Boom, 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 all this different stuff. You feel me? I'm sure that was all part of the conversation in the process. How are you supposed to turn that down as a human being? Of course, Tupac staying in there for 3 more years on Rikers Island would have been the better decision, probably, right? And then he goes on and makes something else of his life. But who knows what it would have been? Who knows? We don't know. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a young man who has just been taking a bullet to the back of the head and in his body and all this different stuff. He's paranoid. Of course he would accept this, and this was the crossroads in his life, and I think he chose the route that led to everything that you could want: money, success, boom, boom, all this different stuff. But it was the fast life, it was the fast lane, and led with a lot of negativity and a lot of chaos and a lot of whatever. But I think Tupac made sure that the music that came out after he passed left powerful messages while still delivering what, the powers that be wanted him to deliver. He made sure to leave the contrasting message as well, the message that stuck with me as a kid. I think a lot of kids were influenced by the crazy boom shit of Tupac, which some of it, yeah, that happens, but I was inspired by songs like Still I Rise, Teardrops and Closed Caskets, Unconditional Love, like songs that like got this going, my heart going. And I'm so, and it brings me such just peace and understanding that Assata Shakur feels the same way that I felt, especially considering how important she is to the fight and to liberation and what she represented. And that's what I'm talking about, the nuanced perspective. And that's what one thing that the Shakurs could do, the common sense, the nuance, and being able to speak outside of what the brainwashing wants you to say or the identity wants you to say, something that I do as well, something we all do, you feel what I'm saying? But that puts Tupac's life and what he left in a whole different perspective. And yeah, rest in peace to Assata Shakur, man. The Shakurs, man, rest in peace to Afeni Shakur, rest in peace to Tupac Shakur, and all the different political prisoners and all the different people who fought and tried to make a difference and left powerful messages and powerful ways of being. And the government, their systems, the COINTELPRO, they all gotten stronger. But at the end of the day, we all know how this goes. We all know where this is going. And these type of things do not last long. And the day is coming. You feel what I'm saying? I think the day is coming soon where the collective consciousness of all of us shines through the tyranny and shines through. And I think it starts with us. It starts with us. I think even if you're not, even if you don't make music, even if I know with my music, with all the music I got coming out, I know y'all gonna love it. I know I'm taking the opportunity to speak something, to say something real, to say something really real though. You feel what I'm saying? And try to leave my mark as well. You feel what I'm saying? Even the people that don't make music, you feel me? What can you say to the person that needs to be talked to? What can you do as far as linking and going and building community or joining community or even just breaking the cycle in your family? It could be something as simple as that. Breaking the negative cycles in your family, breaking the chains, having that tough conversation with your parents, your grandparents, your brother, your sister, and healing to where we all start to, your family start to love each other. Where, you lead with love. You see what I'm saying? We behave more like Jesus. We try to get closer to that ideology. You feel what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things that we can do to make a difference that don't have to be grandiose, that don't have to be super crazy. Just loving ourselves and exuding that into the world is enough to cause a crazy ripple effect. And I know with all the people that I gathered on this channel, that's my proof. All the people I gathered on this channel, all the beautiful things y'all have to say in my comments, all the powerful things y'all have to say in my comments. Y'all are some very, like, y'all are so passionate and deep that it brings me peace in my own mind, knowing that there are people like that out there. And that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Like, y'all don't understand what y'all do for me, just like I might not understand what I do for y'all, but I know that our back and forth is causing a ripple effect in our personal lives. And there's so much that we can do. And I know I'm going to take the opportunity to do that with my music, do that with my voice, going to speak at places where people need to be spoken to, getting better with my public speaking, getting better with my all of that, so I can be somebody that can speak power into people. You feel what I'm saying? Like, just something that simple, that small. It don't gotta be grandiose. And I just want to say thank you to Assata Shakur, thank you to Matulus, the Affinis, the Tupacs, and all the incredible people who spent their time in the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Party, the Civil Rights Movement, the people who, you know, even if they knew they was wrong, or even if they knew, or it felt like they ended up being wrong and they made the wrong decision, the people that was doing what they thought was right and left this earth leaving behind something that we can all cling on to and carry on. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, rest in peace to Assata, another one gone. I knew it would hurt when she was gone, and you know, because it just shows you, like, yeah, you feel me? It's beautiful though. So thank y'all for coming. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're newer, especially if you've been here. My boy Visualize Balance, I'm sorry, dog. I did this video after 26 minutes. I know it's gonna be a lot to edit. It's crazy I'm saying this, because I feel like if you look as I'm saying this, you got some shit going on up here that's probably crazy. I know it, but my bad, bro. I had to get in my bag for this one. But yeah, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all. Y'all have a good day. Also, wait. I have a music video dropping. I think this is gonna drop Tuesday. So new music video with the homie Baby OG dropping on Wednesday. You feel what I'm saying? So y'all stay tuned and check that out. You feel me? I got all the music coming soon. You feel me? So appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all.